One night in July 2013, Jessie arrived home after a party held by her city art group, following their weekend theatrical performances. She went straight to sleep. In the morning, her mother wondered why, even though it was past noon, Jessie still hadn't woken up. She went to her room to call her for lunch, but was met with a terrifying scene. Jessie had been viciously attacked as she slept, and the police had to race against time to find the perpetrator of such a horrific crime. This is the story of Jessie Blodgett. Jessie Blodgett was born on March 22, 1994, in Georgia, United States. She was the only child of Buck and Joy Blodgett. The family lived in Wisconsin, and since she was little, Jessie demonstrated an aptitude for art. She sang, danced, and learned to play both the piano and violin as a child. As a teenager, Jessie joined a theatre group and acted in several plays and musicals in the city. In her early adulthood, she was recognized locally as an animal rights activist and a strong supporter of causes which opposed violence against women. In her spare time, she taught singing, piano and violin and had more than 20 students studying with her. She also had a strong passion for musical art. Her friends recall that they often arrived at her house to find her singing and playing the piano. In her childhood and adolescent years, Jessie had a great friend called Daniel Bartelt. They had first met at school and later attended high school together. Daniel was also passionate about music and theatre. He was an excellent violinist and regularly played in orchestral performances across the city. He was described by many, including Jessie's parents, as a funny, intelligent and courteous young man. Many admired their strong bond of friendship. In their late teens, they began dating, but their romantic relationship only lasted 4 months, and it was actually Daniel who ended things. He said he was afraid that if their relationship failed, it could ruin their incredible friendship, which they had built up over so many years. They decided to stay just good friends. In 2012, at the age of 18, Jessie completed high school and was awarded a full scholarship to study music and performing arts at university. In his first year of study, their lives took separate paths. But during his first summer vacation, in the middle of 2013, they met again. Dan told Jessie that he had dropped out of college as he didn't want to live that life. He said he wanted to dedicate himself to art and music. During the vacation, they wrote and recorded a song together at home. They posted their recording on YouTube on July 14, 2013, and several weeks later, both Jessie and Daniel took starring roles in separate theatre productions. A local festival was staging weekend performances of short plays in both the morning and the afternoon. Daniel had a role in Bye Bye Birdie, and Jessie was in Fiddler on the Roof. Hours later, the cast and crew went out to celebrate. Jessie was happy with her performance and the excellent feedback she received. That night, Jessie got home around midnight and spoke to her mother. She talked about the party and said that 2 men, members of the cast, had been harassing her and making her uncomfortable. They were both over 45 years old, and one of them had asked her to sit on his lap. She, of course, had refused. Her mother was concerned, but Jessie said that everything was fine. Before going to sleep, in the early hours of the 15th of July, Jessie wrote in her diary, "I think I'm being corrupted. I think certain men are taking what should be platonic love and perverting it into a competition. I am not helpless. I will recognize problems and confront them without fear. God be with me." Early the next morning, her father Buck left for work at around 8 a.m. Her mother Joy entered Jessie's room with some clean laundry. Joy noted that Jessie was sleeping at that time, and so she headed off to work. At noon, Joy returned home for lunch. The house was unusually quiet. Jessie would normally be awake at this time watching TV or playing the piano. She called out her daughter's name, but Jessie didn't respond. Joy then went into Jessie's room and found her still lying on the bed. Believing that her daughter must be sick, she moved closer to check if she had a fever. But Jessie's body temperature was not high. It was actually very low. Jessie was cold.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Hartford 901, what's your emergency?
My daughter is blue. I went to wake her up and I just got home for lunch and she won't wake up.
She's
oh
19.
My God.
Okay, hang on just a second.
Okay.
Okay, so is she breathing?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, ma'am, do you know how to do CPR?
Jessie.
Do you know how to do CPR, ma'am?
She's cold. She's cold.
She's cold?
She's cold. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, she's good.
Okay.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Her pants are all wet and she's got, it looks like strangulation marks.
There are strangulation marks?
That's what it looks like. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Honey, what happened to you? No. No. Honey, no. No.
Although help arrived quickly, it was too late. Jessie, aged 19, was pronounced dead by paramedics. When her father arrived, he could not go into Jessie's room because the police had already secured the crime scene. In deep sadness, he remained in the living room, knowing that his daughter lay lifeless, upstairs in her bedroom. There were no visible signs of forced entry into the house. It appeared most likely that whoever had accessed the property knew the place well, or that the front door had been opened by the victim herself. Investigators found bruises on Jessie's neck and wrists, which suggested that she had been tied up very tightly. It was clear that Jessie had been killed unlawfully. Her hair and clothes were wet, and there was water in the bathtub and on the bathroom floor. The person responsible had most likely washed her body, then carried it back to the bed. In other words, this person knew that they had enough time to commit the crime. While collecting evidence at the scene, the police found Jessie's diary, and Joy told the officers what her daughter had shared with her the night before. After making some inquiries, the police were able to identify the two men. One was the play's director, Jerry Becker, who was around 45 years old. He said that he had talked a little with Jessie at the party, but denied any type of harassment. His alibi for the day of the crime was convincing, and he was released. The second man was called Randy, a 46-year-old actor who had performed with her in the same play. During his interrogation, he admitted that on the previous evening while drunk, he had made several advances towards Jessie which had crossed the line. But he maintained that he had no connection with her and didn't even know where she lived. He was released without charge but was considered to be a possible suspect by the investigators. That same week, the lead investigator on the case, Detective Richard Thickens, received a call from Detective Joel Clausing from another police station 20 kilometers away with information that could be of great value in solving the mystery. He said that they had arrested a guy 1 week previously who had been accused of attacking a girl in a park. However, this guy had been a friend of Jessie's. The crime that Detective Joel was investigating concerned an attack on a woman which had occurred in a park just 3 days earlier, July 12th. A young woman named Melissa Etzler was walking her dog in the local park late in the afternoon when she was attacked from behind by a man holding a knife. Melissa was thrown to the ground, but with a strength that even she cannot herself explain, she grabbed the knife blade and managed to rip it out of the attacker's hands. When they got up, the man tried to take the knife back, but she shouted, "No, the knife stays with me. You're leaving now." As the man ran away, he dropped a roll of duct tape. Melissa described him as being between 18 and 20 years old, 1.7 meters tall, thin, weighing around 70 kilos, and with light blonde hair. She could remember a lot of things, especially the car he got into at the end of the parking lot, which he then drove away. It was a dark blue Dodge Caravan. She didn't know the exact year, but she knew it was an old model. And to give you an idea about the injury to Melissa's hand, she needed about 15 stitches to close the wound. A sketch was made, and the police released a photo fit image and the vehicle description. They thought that the photo fit picture would attract the most attention, but it was the vehicle that ended up being a key piece of information in tracking down the criminal. During the week, Deputy Meyer in the Deptford viewed the publicly released information and contacted Detective Joel. He said that weeks before he had seen a car of exactly that description parked in the same place in the park. As usual, he had noted down the license plate to check on the database if the vehicle was licensed, taxed, etc. Meyer searched his notes for the license plate number. He found a match and handed over the vehicle's details to Detective Joel. The car was registered to a couple who were both aged around 45 years old. On Monday afternoon, the police went to their residence. Upon questioning them, they discovered that the couple had a son. He was 20 years old, 1.7 meters tall, thin, weighed around 70 kilos. He also had blonde hair and sometimes used the family car. His name was Daniel Bartelt. The couple were confused about what was happening, but they collaborated with the police and gave them the boy's work address and telephone number. When they arrived at his place of work, the police discovered that Daniel had not been there for several weeks. They decided to call him on his phone. Just to be clear, you do realize that the Daniel we're talking about here is the same Daniel who was Jessie's childhood friend, right? Daniel was actually at Jessie's family's house with several of her friends from the theatre company and her college. Everyone was sharing their memories of Jessie. When Daniel received the call, he didn't seem confused or scared. He didn't even ask what it was about. He just asked for the address and went to meet the officer. At the police station, Daniel talks to Detective Joel.
Yeah, again, house in Hartford, just going to us. The girl that just passed? Yeah, we were visiting her things. Someone raped and murdered her. Were you at a park last night? No. Any I don't. You showed them. What happened to your arm? Where? On your elbow. Well, probably. See your hands? The lenses. That's got the stab with the screw at work. Break my thumb.
If we check with your employer, would you still have your job?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought. Tell us about that.
I was cooking a couple of around the mouth. Let's talk. Okay, nobody in their right mind would lie about cutting themselves if it happened at home cooking. Okay? What happened? Just be honest.
I got it back before.
You went after that girl, right?
Yes.
Okay. Why? What were you going to do?
I was scared.
He told the detective that since he had dropped out of college, he had lived in fear. He had just wanted to make someone else feel the same way he did. He was immediately handcuffed and arrested. The investigators also suspected him of Jessie's murder, but they could not question him about it as they had too little knowledge of the facts. Joel decided to call Detective Richard, the person leading the case at the time. Daniel, already under arrest for attacking Melissa, was now the main suspect in the murder of his best friend Jessie. Searching the boy's house, the police found a roll of duct tape in the basement, which was the same brand as the one he had dropped in the park when he attacked Melissa. When they looked at photos of the crime scene in Jessie's bedroom, they saw that there was another similar roll of adhesive tape lying under her bed. Daniel had several folders of photos and videos of masochistic pornography on his computer. Many of these images involved simulated abusive domination using ropes, erotic gags, and asphyxiation leading to fainting and death. On the second day of his interrogation, now led by Detective Richard, Daniel thought that they were still questioning him about Melissa. He had no idea about the evidence that they found in his room. He didn't say much, and at certain moments during the questioning he appeared to cry, or at least he made crying sounds. But Daniel did not shed a single tear during the entire interrogation. Detective Richard made Daniel uncomfortable by asking him some tough questions. He denied everything and ended the interrogation when he said, "I don't think this is helping at all. If you want to talk more about this, I would like to have a lawyer." The police checked the park's security cameras to prove that he wasn't there on that day and at that time. However, Daniel actually was there, exactly as he had claimed in the statement. In the images, the boy could be seen entering the bathroom and leaving seconds later. The police went to the scene immediately to search the trash to see if they could find anything. As it was already some days after the crime, they hoped that the garbage company had not yet collected it. Luckily, the park's garbage was still there. Of all the materials analysed from the bags, one caught their attention. A cereal box containing wipes moistened with alcohol and stained with blood. There was also an erotic gag and a rope whose threads matched the marks left on Jessie's neck and wrists. When the DNA analyses were carried out, Daniel's DNA was confirmed as being present on several of these materials, as well as under Jessie's nails. Even without a confession to the crime, Daniel was accused of first-degree murder, where there is intent to kill. At the hearings, the prosecution presented a lot of evidence against him. The motive they suggested for his actions was his desire to feel powerful over someone. He had chosen Jessie because of his ease of access to her house, and the fact that he knew he would have enough time to carry out the plan. He intended to murder and then wash his victim's body with water and alcohol to eliminate all evidence. With each passing day, Daniel's situation worsened. The prosecution had concrete evidence against him. DNA proved that he had also sexually abused his victim. It was suggested that Daniel exhibited all the hallmarks of a potential serial killer. On the final day of the hearing, Daniel had the right to speak to make a final speech.
Buck, Joy, I can't give you the answers that you're looking for. You say how you count the days and the hours, and I do too. I have every day. There's no hiding from yourself in a tiny concrete cell. I have a disgustingly innate ability to lie to myself that I have exercised far too many times in my life. But I refuse to hurt someone other than myself by doing that. This jumpsuit that I'm wearing, these shackles that I'm put in, don't make me guilty. And I know there's evidence that I can't refute that would make you believe that I am guilty. I know that you feel I may have enjoyed how painful this process was for some of you. And at my worst, I've had that quality. I've made terrible mistakes along that line, but the only reason that I went to trial at all is because I was told I would not be allowed to make an Alford plea, to acknowledge that I couldn't refute the evidence and just accept sentencing without saying that I'd done something I hadn't. If I could have done that, I wouldn't have put any of you through this or my family. Judge Martins, for what you represent, I'm not trying to be combative, but I don't know whether I should fear you or loathe you. I struggle to understand someone who has, that any human should be given the ability to condemn his fellow man. But I do know that I pity you. I don't blame you for any of this. I think you've been extremely fair given what you have to work with. I can't prove that I'm innocent to anyone, not even myself. I can't prove that Jessie was a beautiful person, though she was, and I still remember her. I can't prove that a sun that I haven't seen for over 400 days still even rises and sets, but I like to believe that it does. Buck, again, I think it's incredible that such ugliness has begotten such beauty, and I've seen that from your entire family. I saw that the day after Jessie died when I was with you. I pray for you, for all of you, and I hope that, I believe that someday I will be before a court that will know that my conscience is pure. I love you, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
Buck, Jessie's father, also agreed to speak. Many expected his words to be full of hate and sadness, but he surprised everyone with a brief statement directed solely at the accused.
I forgive you, as I have every single day since we found out it was you. I believe there's good and bad in every one of us, so I don't demonize or vilify you.
Daniel was found guilty, sentenced to life in prison without the right to parole. He received an extra 5 years for his attack on Melissa. Jessie's parents created the Love is Greater Than Hate project, whose main cause is to support women who are the victims of domestic violence and abuse. In a post-trial interview, Buck said,
I don't want you to think that I'm living in some sugar-coated bubble and I don't have pain or anger at all. At the same time, stronger than that was this inexplainable peace and forgiveness and a sense that everything is okay. And I don't know how to explain that to this day. Don't get me wrong, I'll never be okay with what Dan did to Jessie. But Jessie's life and death, for me, are for bringing light into this world.